What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. And today I'm actually going to be doing my first movie review on the channel. And today we are going to be reviewing Godzilla Minus One. I absolutely loved this movie. So far, I've watched it twice at my local cinema, and I would say this is definitely one of the best Godzilla movies ever made in recent times. It's well written, the characters in this story are likable and really relatable, and really it does set a good tone for the movie as well. And then we've got Godzilla himself in this movie, and I have got to say, this is probably one of the most terrifying Godzillas out there, and he's not even the tallest one. This is probably one of, if not the most sinister version of Godzilla we've ever had. He's outright going after people and trying to kill them. He's trying to cause destruction deliberately. And his atomic breath in this movie, probably one of the most destructive atomic breaths there's ever been. And there's been a few, like there's been Shin Godzilla with him having lasers pretty much everywhere. We've had the Godzilla Earth atomic breath, but that Godzilla was kind of boring because he was just too big, too slow, and too big to be relatable, even though he was very destructive. With this Godzilla breath, people, it's like he shoots out the beam hits the target, and then we get this giant atomic explosion, like an atomic bomb goes off, right? And just levels the city when it happens. Yeah, like we see in the trailer how his dorsal spikes like charge up from his tail and into his back, and then they all like outright spike up and then retract when he's firing it. But damn, the destruction and death that blast caused, I'm like, yeah, this has probably got to be my favorite Godzilla atomic breath by far. I would also say Godzilla is well used in this movie, even though he doesn't actually have a lot of screen time, which is pretty normal for a Godzilla movie. I know some people complain about screen time. I mean, have you watched majority of the Godzilla movies out there? Like, yes, it's always been like that. It's how the story is written and how he's used. In this movie, he hasn't really got a lot of screen time, but you never think about it because how well the human characters were written in this movie. And I think he was well done in this film. Like, you have just enough of Godzilla in there, even though I could have used like an extra battle scene with Godzilla. I didn't think like, like, can we go to Godzilla now? Never had that in this movie. I always get that in a legendary Godzilla film, like Godzilla vs. Kong. I've got it on 4K Blu-ray. I just skip straight to the fight scenes. But with this movie, I was gripped all the way through. So they definitely did a good amount of time with Goji in here, and they definitely did a good job with writing characters that people could care about. The human story in this, I think, is probably one of the best we've had in a while in the Godzilla franchise. I feel for a lot of the films that we've had, or the anime of recently, or the legendary series, getting the humans in a Godzilla story has been quite difficult for a lot of people to do, because I know if you're going to have like a monster battle movie, like where Godzilla's fighting another creature, you're not there for the humans, and the studio and the writers know that. But in this movie, there isn't another monster, so I believe it becomes a lot more of an intimate story compared to others that we've seen. Typically, when it's a Godzilla movie and it's just him by himself, we get a more serious tone with more character-driven plot. And when he's fighting another monster, the character-driven plot's a lot more loose and light. It is very mediocre just to get the plot along to get you to the next fight scene. In this movie, that they're not doing that. This is a film that's about the characters, that are dealing with the aftermath of a war and also dealing with a giant creature that's here to kill them as well. And really, throughout this story, or the film, I should say, all of the characters just come off likable. Even when there are characters that are being dicks in this movie, you can actually understand why they're being dicks. Like not because they're being dicks because they just like because of ego. They're not like that. Like they're being dicks because like these people are frustrated, they're miserable, and they're in pain, bro. It's like what the F do you want? You know, like that, like when you're just really pissed off and somebody's just like making it worse and you just want to be left alone, and then that person, like it's just, you could feel everybody is just not happy, and you really empathize with these characters. You really do. And you're just sitting there like, yo, like I understand where this guy's coming from, and I can understand where this guy's coming from. So in my opinion, I really do think Toho really nailed it with giving perspective and depth to characters, even if they're not even a main character of the plot. Like, for example, the main character, for example, has survivor's guilt and not doing his duty as a kamikaze pilot. But there's another character in this film that who basically gets called the Kid, and he wants to prove himself. He wants to fight. He wanted the war to last longer, but even though we know everybody who fought in the war didn't want that. And like the kamikaze survivors like don't say things like that, and the Kid's like, yeah, I get it, but you understand where both sides are coming from, because the Kid wanted to prove himself that he could fight for his country. He wanted to do something right, but at the same time, the survivors are like, bro, you don't want this, Kid. Like, you really don't want this war. Like, it was horrible. Like, But by the end of the film, the Kid actually gets that honorable moment to like help save his country from Godzilla. And that's another thing as well in this film, is they really do take home the fact, like, yeah, they took a really bad blow in this movie. Like, Japan was set to zero after World War II. And then Godzilla coming along, it's like, we got to deal with this. Like, we got to rebuild our country and deal with this. You get set to -1, just like the title says. And they really do show, like, this country is set at -1. Like, there's no one coming to help them. Like, no one from outside's coming to help you. There's so many people's lives that are in ruin. People are dead. Families are broken. Like there are people who have lost their families, children that have lost their family, and you just feel all of it. You just feel you know what I mean? Like, you just feel these characters, and it's like, whoever wrote this story, like, yeah, give this writer more jobs, please. And the directors, everybody who worked on this film, they deserve a raise and more work. Everybody, even the Ross Clark janitor and the dinner lady or the cooks, or everybody deserves more, like, high praise for this film. I loved all of it. And Godzilla, in my opinion, there were parts where, like, humans outshined Godzilla in this movie. Humans outshining Godzilla in a Godzilla movie. Can you believe that? So, yes, people, I do recommend this film. And I've watched pretty much nearly every Godzilla film. I've watched some of the best, and I've watched some of the worst. Like Godzilla's Revenge, Godzilla vs. that Red Sea Monster. Oh god, that was awful. Oh god. Remember when that movie where Godzuki or Manila got his ass kicked by that bully kaiju? I think the only good time that scene is, like, enjoyable is for, like, the Godzilla Numa Numa video. And that's just about it. But we ain't there, people. We ain't there. We're in, like, the Godzilla 1954, the 84 realm right there. Like, we're in top tier realm of Godzilla with this movie. So yes, I fully recommend it, whether you're a Godzilla movie fan or not. This is just an overall fantastic movie that I think, regardless if you're an elite fan of Godzilla or not, you can enjoy this film. But my only gripe, one gripe with this film, I would say, no dub. Oh, actually, no, one more positive. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I haven't spoken about it. And I got another positive, people. We got another positive. Yeah. I completely forgot. The CGI in this movie, right? So, Godzilla in this film looked fantastic in both iterations, in my opinion. So, by the way, if you guys don't know, they've gone with the original Godzilla franchise origin. Like, this ain't a spoiler, you guys should know, this origin has been out for decades. So, Godzilla was originally a prehistoric dinosaur. We call it the Godzillasaurus, and then, the nuclear bomb came down and hit Godzilla and then mutated him into the Godzilla that we all know and love from, like, the 1954 film, for example. So, yeah, they stuck with that origin. Both versions looked fantastic, even though I think the pre-mutated version kind of looked better, like design-wise. Like, I kind of liked that version a little bit more, but I love both. Don't get it twisted. I think both of them were fantastic. But when I'm looking at the original, I'm like, damn, that's a pretty dope design. Like, if we look at the original Godzillasaurus from, like, the Heisei films, and we see how that looked compared to how I'm picking the -1 design for pre-mutated Godzilla. Yeah, so the CGI and the designs, all very good, very good. And I also liked how they kept the rubber suit design movement homage. If you look at the pre-mutated Godzilla's design, right, his dorsal plates are flapping about like how they were in the Showa series. Like, the guy in the rubber suits, like, they were just, like, flopping on his back, like, left and right when he was moving. So I really liked how they kept that in there. But, like, if a dinosaur was to have dorsal spikes, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't happen. So I think that was a homage deliberately. I noticed that. I noticed the floppy spines. But anyway, the CGI in this film, fantastic. And they're saying this film had a $15 million budget. I've heard conflicting stories about that. So I've heard that was the case. And then I heard something about the director in an interview saying he wished he had that much of a budget. So I'm not too sure if it is 15 million or lower. Even if it is 15 million, the CGI in this film is fantastic. Like, how the hell did you manage to do this in a $15 million budget? Don't get it twisted. There are some quick shots where the CGI does look a bit off. Like, it does look a bit off in certain points. But for, like, majority of the film, when you see Godzilla on screen, he looks like a tangible thing. Like, when you see him in the river and he's chasing the boat, right? I thought that was a prop. Like, I actually thought that was a Godzilla prop they were using, because I'm like, that can't be CGI. That actually looked like, if I touched it, it could, like, the scales. I think that's what they used. I think that's the trick that they used. The more scaly and, like, uneven the skin texture looked, the more realistic it looked. Like, to me, in a weird way, in a very weird way, I know that sounds weird, the more uneven and, like, oceanic. So, in my opinion, the skin texture on Godzilla in this movie was very like crustacean or coral and mixed with some dinosaur scales in there. And when you look at him, it looks like he's been mixed with, like, ocean bits of the ocean, but it makes him look really real, like tangible real with the CG. So I have got to say, Hollywood, how are you out here, like, have $200 million budgets in some movies and your CG looks awful when this movie doesn't even have a fraction of that budget and somehow looks better than your movie? I'm sorry, there is no way you can walk away and not take that L. You know, one of them ones there where it's like, I'm sorry, Hollywood, there ain't no way you can't hold that L. I know you're gonna try and make excuses and all of that. No, 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 no. There's some times in life where we all lose, and we all gotta hold an L to win. You know, it happens. Even I have to go through it. You know, sometimes we gotta take a L to learn a lesson. But like, how? How did they get to make the CG looks so good, and not only that, water. Like water is not easy to do or to animate in general. It takes up a lot of space and a lot of processing power to do. Like it's really difficult to do. But how they managed to do it, like there was some points where it's like, that's not matching up with the effect. But with the most part, it looked like, wow. Like wow. At some points, I was just like, wow. Well done, Toho, and the director, and the team who did the CGI. You did a fantastic job with what you had with. Fantastic. So yes, people, if I was to give this a 5 out of 5, I think I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I think that's it. My one issue that I had was no English dub. I had to read the subtitles. I think there was no English dub, but other than that, I love this movie. I went to go see it twice. I haven't done that in any movie since Godzilla 2014. And now that that movie's aged on me, I actually don't like that movie anymore. Like, compared to the other MonsterVerse movies that we've had, that is the one I like the least. So, in my opinion, how it goes for me, it's like GVK, King of the Monsters, Kong Skull Island, and then we have 2014 Godzilla. But this film, I loved everything about it. Like, I honestly cannot think of a genuine flaw of this movie. When I think about flaw, I am a nitpicker. Like, I could see flaws from a mile away. Trust me, I am one of those guys that nitpick when I see a fuck up. But in my opinion, guys, this was just a well-rounded, fantastic movie. Like, I'm actually trying to think of a problem that I had with the movie. I think other than that, like, a couple of seconds of bad CG. Like 1 or 2 seconds, and that was it. That's about it. I love this film. So for me, I've got to give it a 5 out of 5. Like, I honestly don't have a complaint with this film. Well-rounded movie. Love that the returning soundtrack came back, like the returning Godzilla anthem. Yeah, you know, we all know the anthem. Oh, loved that when that was playing. I was like, yes, bro, I'm a kid again. But yes, 5 out of 5. Highly recommend it. This is actually my first Japanese Godzilla film that I actually went to go see at a cinema. So that is also my first and my best experience. So, yeah, people, if you guys want to go see a good movie before the year is up, go see Godzilla -1 right now. I highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. You know the drill. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back with some more Ultimate Universe content as well. I've got lots of stuff to talk about. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Peace.